Playing with Power MTG. Powerful cards, powerful formats. Be sure to check out Dragon Shield for all of the best accessories to protect your decks. TCG Player for cards at great prices while still supporting local game stores. And Patreon, where you get awesome benefits for your direct support. We are excited to announce our very own custom Dragon Shield sleeves. You can find these on our store along with tons of other great Playing with Power merch. Pick up your custom Playing with Power sleeves today. Links are in the description below. Today we're here with something a little bit different, some Conquest gameplay. Conquest is a newer format aimed at having a healthy, competitive metagame complete with multiplayer play with ease of access and affordability at the forefront. Some major differences from Commander include lower commander damage threshold of 12, a minimum of 80 cards in a library with no maximum, and allowing planeswalkers as commanders. It also has its own ban list, which includes the reserve list and many of CEDH's most popular cards. We wanted to showcase this awesome format for you today. Now let's start off by showcasing our fighters this evening. First we have Joel piloting Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. This deck wins through grinding opponents' resources with Kroxa and other discard effects before finishing up the game by reanimating huge threats and attacking. His opening hand contains a Blasphemous Act, Burning Inquiry, Waste Not, Shatterskull Smashing, Exotic Orchard, Shijo, Death's Storehouse, and a Swamp. Next up we have CROSSFIRECAT playing Geyadrone's Dihada. This deck is a control list focused on grinding out tons of value with loads of planeswalkers. His opening hand contains Duretti, Ingenious Iconoclast, Gitaxian Probe, Notion Thief, Chrome Mox, Spark Double, Tevesh Zat, Doom of Fools, and Exotic Orchard. After that we have Alex playing Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. This is a Conquest variant of the popular CEDH deck, Selvala Slowstorm. It focuses on assembling an infinite mana combo to win the game. His opening hand contains Benefactor's Drought, Momentous Fall, Scrib Ranger, Priest of Titania, Berserk, Gemstone Caverns, and a Snow-Covered Forest. Finally, we have Xavier playing Karlov of the Ghost Council with Luris of the Dream Den as his companion. This is a mid-range Voltron deck focused on life gain synergies. His opening hand contains Luminarch Ascension, Mother of Runes, Grand Abolisher, Soul's Attendant, Vault of Champions, Mana Confluence, and a Plains. Without further ado, let's begin the Poggiest Poggin' procession of Pogs. Joel won the Decry the Reserve List the Most challenge and gets to start us off. But first, Alex puts a Gemstone Caverns into play as a pre-game action, exiling a Snow-Covered Forest. Joel draws a card for turn and puts a Shatterskull the Hammer Pass into play tapped. He passes. CrossFireCat draws for turn and pays 2 life to cast Gitaxian Probe. He looks at Alex's hand and draws a card. He plays an Exotic Orchard. He casts Chrome Mox, imprinting Tevesh Zat. He casts Dauthi Voidwalker. He ends the turn. Alex draws and plays a Snow-Covered Forest. He casts Priest of Titania. All through, he passes the turn to Xavier. Xavier draws and plays a Plains. He casts Soul's Attendant. He sends the turn back to Joel. Joel draws and plays an Exotic Orchard. He casts Talisman of Indulgence. He ships the turn. CrossFireCat draws and plays a Prismatic Vista. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Swamp onto the battlefield. He casts Duretti, Ingenious Iconoclast. He ticks up Duretti, creating a 1/1 colorless construct token with Defender. Soul's Attendant triggers, gaining Xavier 1 life. CrossFireCat moves to combat, attacking Xavier with Dauthi Voidwalker. Xavier takes it, and CrossFireCat ends his turn. Alex draws and casts Scrib Ranger. Soul's Attendant triggers, gaining Xavier 1 life. Alex activates Scrib Ranger, returning a Snow-Covered Forest and untapping Priest of Titania. He plays a Snow-Covered Forest. He casts his commander, Selvala, Heart of the Wild. Soul's Attendant triggers, gaining Xavier 1 life. Alex passes the turn to Xavier. Xavier draws and plays Vault of Champions. He casts Leonin Elder. Soul's Attendant triggers, gaining Xavier 1 life. He casts Mother of Runes. Soul's Attendant triggers again, gaining Xavier 1 life. The turn ends. Joel draws and plays Graven Cairns. He casts Waste Not. He follows it up with Burning Inquiry. In response, Alex activates Scrib Ranger, returning a Snow-Covered Forest to his hand and untapping Priest of Titania. Still in response, Alex casts Benefactor's Drought, untapping all creatures and drawing a card. Burning Inquiry resolves. Each player draws 3 and discards 3 cards at random. Joe discards a Mountain, Azra Oddsmaker, and Blasphemous Act into exile with a Void counter on it. Crossfire discards Pestilence, Training Center, and Notion Thief. Alex discards a Snow-Covered Forest, Summoner's Pact, and Kyametra's Acolyte into exile with Void counters. Xavier discards Inventor's Fair, Grand Abolisher, and Luminarch's Ascension into exile with Void counters on it. Waste Not triggers. creating 3 2/2 zombie tokens, adding 6 black mana and drawing Joel 3 cards. Soul's Attendant triggers 3 times and Xavier gains 3 life. Joel follows it up with a Cursed Totem. Leonin Elder triggers and Xavier gains 1 life. Joel casts Necromancy. It enters and returns Notion Thief from CrossFireCat's graveyard to Joel's battlefield. He casts his commander, Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. It enters, and because it wasn't escaped, it is sacrificed. Joel sends it back to the command zone. Kroxa triggers, and all Joel's opponents discard a card. Waste Not triggers, creating a 2/2 zombie token, and Joel draws 2 cards. Soul's Attendant triggers, and Xavier gains 1 life. Selvala triggers, and Joel draws a card. He casts Lotus Petal. Leonin Elder triggers, and Xavier gains 1 life. Finally, Joel ends his turn. CrossFireCat draws and plays a Morphic Pool. He casts his commander, Geyadrone Dehada. He ticks her down, targeting Notion Thief. He gains control of it and untaps it. It gains a corruption counter. He ticks down to ready, sacrificing his 1/1 construct and destroying Cursed Totem. He activates Dauthi Voidwalker, sacrificing it, and casts Burning Inquiry from Exile. Everybody attempts to draw 3 and discard 3. Waste Not triggers, creating a 2/2 zombie token and adding 2 black to Joel's mana pool. CrossFireCat draws 7 cards through Notion Thief. After making a deal to dispose of Notion Thief once and for all, CrossFireCat moves to combat. He attacks Alex with Notion Thief. Alex blocks with Script Ranger. Thanks to Ranger's protection from blue, it survives and Notion Thief dies. Necromancy goes to Joel's graveyard. In his second main phase, CrossFireCat casts Jeweled Amulet. Leonin Elder triggers and Xavier gains 1 life. CrossFireCat ends his turn, discarding the hand size. Waste Not triggers, and Joel creates 3 2/2 zombies, draws a card, and adds 10 black. Joel then casts Soul Shatter. Alex sacrifices Selvala, CrossFireCat sacrifices Geyadrone, and Xavier sacrifices Leonin Elder. Alex and CrossFireCat send their commanders to the command zone. The turn moves to Alex. Alex draws and plays a Snow-Covered Forest. Out of actions, he passes the turn. Xavier draws and casts his commander, Karlov of the Ghost Council. Soul's Attendant triggers and he gains 1 life. Karlov triggers and gets 2 +1/+1 counters. He plays Cave of Koilos. With nothing else, he ships the turn to Joel. Joel draws and plays Shizo Death Storehouse. He casts Animate Dead, targeting Notion Thief. It returns from the graveyard to the battlefield. Soul's Attendant triggers and Xavier gains 1 life. Karlov triggers and gets 2 +1/+1 counters. Joel casts Underworld Breach. He escapes Burning Inquiry from his graveyard. He draws 12 cards, then everyone discards 3 cards. Waste Not triggers and Joel draws 4. He escapes Lotus Petal. He moves to combat. He attacks Duretti with 2 zombies and sends 5 more zombies at Xavier. He blocks 1 with Karlov and takes the rest. Duretti dies. Joel casts Dragon's Rage Channeler. Soul's Attendant triggers and Xavier gains 1 life. Karlov triggers and gets 2 +1/+1 counters. Joel casts Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer. Soul's Attendant triggers and Xavier gains 1 life. Karlov triggers and gets 2 +1/+1 counters. Joel ends his turn, discarding the hand size. In his end step, Underworld Breach is sacrificed. CrossFireCat draws and plays Ancient Tomb. He taps Ancient Tomb to help cast Teferi, Master of Time. He casts Reanimate, targeting Spark Double. Spark Double is returned from the graveyard to the battlefield. It enters as a copy of Teferi, Master of Time, with an extra loyalty counter. He ticks down Spark Double, phasing out Notion Thief. He ticks up his original Teferi, drawing a card and discarding Mana Confluence. Waste Not triggers and Joel adds 2 black. CrossFireCat sends the turn to Alex. Alex draws. He casts his commander, Selvala. Soul's Attendant triggers and Xavier gains 1 life. Karlov triggers and gets 2 +1/+1 counters. Alex moves to combat and attacks the copy of Teferi with Script Ranger. Before damage, CrossFireCat ticks up Spark Double, drawing and discarding a deflecting swat. Waste Not triggers and Joel draws. Spark Double takes the damage. Alex then ends his turn. In Alex's end step, CrossFireCat activates his other Teferi, drawing and discarding Graven Cairns. Waste Not triggers and Joel adds 2 black. The turn moves to Xavier. Xavier draws and plays Silent Clearing. He makes a deal with CrossFireCat to phase out Joel's untapped zombie in order to kill Joel through commander damage. Moving to combat, Xavier attacks Joel with Karlov and Spark Double with Soul's Attendant. Before blockers, CrossFireCat ticks down Teferi to phase out Joel's untapped zombie. Still before blockers, Xavier activates Mother of Runes, targeting Karlov. In response, Joel pays 2 life to cycle Street Wraith, drawing a card. Xavier gives Karlov protection from red until the end of turn. Joel and CrossFireCat both declare no blocks. Before damage, CrossFireCat ticks up Spark Double, drawing and discarding Sarkhan the Masterless. Waste Not triggers and Joel draws a card. Joel takes the hit and dies to commander damage. Xavier passes. At the end of turn, CrossFireCat activates Jeweled Amulet, adding a counter. CrossFireCat draws. He ticks up Spark Double, drawing and discarding. He ticks up Teferi, drawing and discarding again. He taps his Ancient Tomb to help cast Geyadrone to Hada. He ticks down Geyadrone, targeting Karlov. Fearing for his life, Alex activates Scrib Ranger, bouncing a snow-covered forest to his hand and untapping Xavier's Mother of Runes. Xavier activates Mother of Runes, targeting Karlov to give it protection from blue. CrossFireCat then ends his turn. Alex draws and plays a snow-covered forest. Still wanting for action, he passes to Xavier. At the end of the turn, CrossFireCat ticks up Spark Double, drawing and discarding. He also ticks up Teferi, drawing and discarding. Then Xavier sacrifices Silent Clearing to draw. Xavier draws and moves to combat. He attacks the original Teferi with Soul's Attendant and sends Karlov at CrossFireCat. Before damage, CrossFireCat uses the last of Spark Double's loyalty to attempt to phase out Karlov. In response, Xavier activates Mother of Runes, targeting Karlov. In response, Xavier ticks down Teferi, targeting Karlov. Karlov phases out. With no actions to be taken, Teferi dies to Soul's Attendant. In his second main phase, Xavier pays 3 to put Luris into his hand. He ships the turn to CrossFireCat. CrossFireCat draws. He taps Ancient Tomb to cast Saheeli, Sublime Artificer. He casts Wishclaw Talisman. Saheeli triggers, creating a 1/1 servo token. Soul's Attendant triggers, and Xavier gains 1 life. CrossFireCat ticks up Geyadrone, gaining 2 life and causing each opponent to lose 2 life. He opts to not place a corruption counter on a target. He ends his turn. Alex draws, plays a snow-covered forest. He moves to combat and attacks Geyadrone with Scrib Ranger. The turn ends. In Xavier's untap, Karlov phases back in. Xavier draws. He taps Caves of Koilos to help cast the Meat Hook Massacre with X equaling 1. In response, Alex taps his Precept Titania to float 2 green. The Meat Hook Massacre enters, and in response to its trigger, Xavier activates Mother of Runes to give Karlov protection from black. Meat Hook Massacre gives all creatures on the battlefield -1/-1, killing 5 creatures. Each opponent loses 2 life, and Xavier gains 3. Karlov triggers 3 times and gets 6 +1/+1 counters. Xavier attacks CrossFireCat with Karlov. CrossFireCat takes it, dying to commander damage. The turn moves to Alex. Alex draws and plays a snow-covered forest. He casts Llanowar Elves. Staring down the world's most lethal Karlov, he passes to Xavier. Xavier draws and plays a snow-covered plains. He activates Karlov, removing 6 counters and exiling Selvala. He moves to combat, attacking Alex with Karlov. Alex blocks with Llanowar Elves. Meat Hook Massacre triggers, and Xavier gains 1 life while Alex loses 1. Karlov triggers and gets 2 +1/+1 counters. In his second main phase, Xavier casts Deafening Silence. He ends his turn. Alex draws and plays a snow-covered forest. He casts Collector Oof. He ships the turn. At the end of Alex's turn, Xavier taps Caves of Koilos to help cast Enlightened Tutor, fetching up Shadow Spear onto the top of his library. The turn moves to Xavier. Xavier draws. He casts Luris of the Dream Den. He casts Mother of Runes from his graveyard through Luris. He moves to combat, attacking Alex with Karlov. Alex blocks with Collector Oof. The Meat Hook Massacre triggers. Xavier gains 1 life while Alex loses 1. Karlov triggers, getting 2 +1/+1 counters. His turn ends. Alex draws. He casts Wirewood Symbiote. He passes. Xavier draws. He casts Shadow Spear and equips it to Karlov. He activates Mother of Runes, giving Karlov protection from green. He moves to combat. He attacks with Karlov, killing Alex and winning the game. Ladies and gentlemen, what a crazy game of Conquest. This game really showed off how powerful and competitive this format can be. Xavier was able to prove the power of Voltron, easily dispatching his opponents with Karlov beats. The most valuable card of this game goes to Waste Not. Though he may not have won, Waste Not generated an insane amount of value for Joel throughout the match. If not for the combined efforts of his opponents to quickly dispatch him, Waste Not would have single-handedly given Joel the win in this one. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Tune in next time when we duke it out to see who will be the king of the competitive EDH table. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.